Well, that's some feel good music for sure. The opening track is called Here So Far Away. It appears to be about the effect disinterested adults have on children. Do I have that right?
Kind of. It's actually more a song about the Mother Earth, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you always doing the symbolism thing, man. I'm always taking everything literal. Well, that's what's cool, though. That's why I like, I said, your lyrics and other people. For example, last time you were here, you had the Old Giants, and I was thinking about Charlie Parker and Louis Armstrong, and you were thinking about actual trees. And that's cool because then in my mind, I have one version of the song, just like with this one we just heard. And then, or the one I just mentioned, we didn't hear, but, and then, yeah, now you tell me that. I go listen to it again, and I have two versions. That's awesome. You got one called Need To that has a very prominent saxophone part that's reminiscent of the early 70s Plastic Ono Band sound. I mean, almost sound like a John Lennon recording. It also makes me think of Joe Cocker meets the Wailers. It's very different from the rest of the album. What's the story on that track?
That song kind of happened, Need To and the song Two Times. Those were both written like right after The Voice, like right after I was out in Hollywood for a while and came back, and I just was like adapting to the change and again, starting to hop on planes and flying places and blessed to tour the country. So in between all of that, again, how do I deal and process that? I write music. And so those two songs just kind of came with it, especially with Need To. It was like I would go anywhere and do anything for my family. I'd do anything for my gal, for my love, for my life. And that's kind of basically just that. I would stand here and burn on fire just to be with you. I would climb the highest mountain. I would swim to the deepest ocean because you and me did what we had to, what we want to, what we need to,
Yeah, and it makes me disappointed that I can't play I could play all these songs, but I want people to buy your album. So you talk, that's definitely where it's one of the ones I was on the fence about playing or not. But, people need to check all these out. People need to get the album. In fact, I'm gonna follow up with every single person who listens to this and make sure they do. No, cool. As if I know every single person. The next one I want to play is called Golden Houses. Appears to be about letting go of a dysfunctional relationship. You have banjo and strings on that one. I'm hearing it. You said you play most of the instruments. Are you a banjo player?
Man, bluegrass purists out there, I do apologize, but I had found an instrument in Colorado when I used to live out there called a guitanjo. At least that's the street name for it. So it's a banjo strung as a guitar.
Wow.
I know how to play the guitar and I can kind of finger pick a little bit. So 1 + 2 = 3.
I've never heard of this instrument. I've seen guitars with harps. I've seen like a guitar with the bass notes of a harp. I've seen a guitar with like the high notes of a harp.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it. And now you're at the Musical Instrument Museum. You should see if they have one of those. Maybe
I could donate my guitanjo to it.
Well, you have to get 2 of them so you can still have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's an unusual combination of sounds on there. But yeah, lyrically, what are you going for in that song?
Yeah, that again, man, with everything that's come with this journey, there's some interesting turns in it as well. And so, yeah, it's kind of just about letting go of things that don't really sit anymore, that don't fit anymore.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. And it's a little bit unusual for you, but it's realistic and it balances things out. So it isn't all just like rah-rah cheerleading. It acknowledges that sometimes things don't go the way you wish they would.
And sometimes, like how do we know what's good if we don't, it's not about black and white or good and evil, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, how can you have one without the other?
Yeah, it's a recognition of that. Sure.
Right.
Awesome. Well, I really like this track, so let's listen to it. From With These Hands, this is Golden Houses.
Here I sit again, and I'm looking through you. Your words are paper thin, your silence like the wall, a rainfall, a dagger, lonely nights and curtain calls. I miss you more when I'm at home. I get it now most of all. You can only handle me at a distance. my passion, my vehicle. My mistakes left me stranded out in the cold. If I had the choice again, I would still open up my door. Can't see my life without you, but I'm happy you don't have to deal with me anymore. Past is what we know. The struggle helps us grow. I can't make you follow through. The choice is up to you. The day won't wait for anyone. Be careful what you wish. Tomorrow doesn't come for everyone. You leave your love at a distance. And now there's wolves in my floor. Lost in the woods again. I'm not looking anymore.
This one was I'd be weeping, when we'd be listening back to it. And the guy that helped me record it too, he's like, this one got me today, man. Oh, and then he called up again. It's like, it got me again. I was like, dude, I know, gosh. Like, holy buck.
Well, as I said, at the show, there was a lot of quiet, intimate moments, that I don't get at a lot of concerts, particularly when you're playing guitar or keyboards by yourself. And the version you did of Say Goodbye, it's funny because your other three players and yourself have a really nice vocal blend, the four of you singing together. But I kept waiting for the drummer to come in because, on the album, it has that, pretty quick beat.
Yes.
And he wasn't there to play. He was there to sing. So that one was a little bit more affecting version of it. Everybody just sort of sang and kept the music soft.
Right. And that's kind of the, just the idea. I appreciate you recognizing that. And that's kind of, we realized, with this lineup, it's like, wow, we could do 4-part harmonies, and we can use that as a strength. 4 people singing is just as strong as drums, bass, keys, guitar going off. It's just a different dynamic, and a different way to express the expressions.
And your 4 particular voices sound good together. That's always
Thank
nice
you, man.
too.
Yeah, I'll pass that along too. And I know that's something we've spent many, many hours in the studio working on. Thank you, man.
You got a song called Even After. It features a line about using pain as a gift and a learning device. Was that inspired by a particular event or situation?
It's mainly more, I don't know if we talked last time just kind of about, just being a spiritual seeker. It's kind of like off the Mother Teresa tip. She's got this thing she wrote, calls do it anyway, and it's like, I can't remember the word for words, but it's like, if you're trying to do this and you get kicked to the curb, do it anyways. If you're trying to do this, do it anyways. And basically her summary of that was she said that the suffering, many spiritual faiths, a strong tenet of those faiths is the suffering, right? The suffering that comes with life. So Mother Teresa's take on it was that suffering is actually the kiss of Christ. That suffering is one of the true gifts in your life if you actually have the eyes to see it and the ears to hear it. So, and then kind of using that and trying to practice it, I was like, wow, these moments that hurt are actually some of the greatest gifts. That pain could actually be the greatest gift because it births or opens the door to true change. Something that you wouldn't normally do if that wouldn't have come along in your life. If that abrupt, almost dagger, wouldn't hit your heart. If you're just going off without that even happening, it would just be going for it. And how long would you keep repeating what you were doing or doing what you were doing? It's so that suffering, that pain, that change, it creates true change. And the only thing you can really do with that pain is deal with it. You know what I mean? Otherwise you're going to drown.
Yeah, it's an interesting take on it. Of course, nobody enjoys it at the time, but yeah, if you want to step back and look at what you gain from it, it's certainly a mature and sort of wise way to handle it, because everybody's going to have pain and rain.
Dude, that's what they say. I mean, all the things say it. I mean, any poet, musician talks about it. Any spiritual way talks about it. It's like the yin to the yang, man. It comes with it.
Well, interesting. I'm remembering now because they say that, was it Schubert, one of the classical composers, some of the pundits said that you couldn't really be one of the great composers if you'd had a happy life. You had to have, a bunch of crap going on to it. Because, Tchaikovsky was a tortured kind of guy, and Beethoven went deaf, and all these different people had all this stuff, and then they wrote this real intense music.
Thelonious Monk, you know what I mean? Charles Mingus. I mean, we could keep going.
For example, Eric Clapton, when his son died, he wrote that song "Tears in Heaven." So you certainly wouldn't. Anybody who likes that song, not that it was worth it to lose his child, but I mean, anybody who likes that song, it would have never happened. The beauty of the song wouldn't have happened without the tragedy that inspired it. So,
right, dude, that's beautiful. And I think another way to look at it too, or a good closer to that, is like sometimes our pain or our personal struggles, especially being artists, like in the way we express and deal with that, turning it into a painting or a song or a movie or a poem or a piece of clothing, or, it's like, who knows what that's going to do for somebody else. So it's like almost that pain that we go through, and then sharing that pain or a way of dealing with it almost turn into medicine for other people. And I think it's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, very true. So everybody listening out there, do that. Don't pick up a hammer and smash something.
Build it.
You got another one with some country overtones called "Sacred and Tall."
Yes, dude, I love that too.
Power, strength of enduring love. More the type of thing we expect from you.
Right.
It's a good one. You mentioned the Moon at Noon, very acoustic track, has sort of a sing-along quality to it, almost like a song for kids.
Oh yeah, it's funny you say that. My kids, man, my kids sing the heck out of that tune. They love that song, and yeah, that's kind of for them.
You mentioned the song, the title, 2 times. You mentioned you wrote it not long after you're on The Voice. That's a nice soul tune with gospel overtones. Your lead vocal is very spirited, and you got some great backing vocals on it too, very choir-like.
Thank you.
You as you said, you're just kind of summarizing your feelings at the time. The next one I want to play, one of my favorite tracks on the album, has an interesting sort of droning ambiance to it, and some of my favorite lyrics on the album. What can you tell us about "Falling Apart"?
Man, "Falling Apart" again. That's a special tune, man. That was written during a time of a lot of change, and a lot of things were happening, and yeah, man. So my friend Jayanthi let me borrow her harmonium. So I had that in my old room, and I sat down on it and just like pulled, I've never played it before. So I just started pulling some of like the drawbars out almost. And it had those like overtones in it. And then before I knew it, again, just the words just kind of came, I just let spirit just work her magic. And before I knew it, I was like, whoa, here we go. And every time I share it with somebody, with Mike Sini, the drummer, that's like one of his favorite tunes ever, that we do. And he's like, man, when you do that song, and I'm like, man, that's not even me. That's just, I just was open. I was a vessel for that.
Let's give that a listen. This is really great. From With These Hands, here's "Falling Apart."
I couldn't be who you thought I was, and what's left is what we made. We're having a party, 'cause things are falling apart. Try not to see me after you broke my heart. You moved past the point, there's nothing left. I was gone a long time ago, and what's left is what we made. We're having a party, 'cause things are falling apart. Try not to see me after you broke my heart.
Well, I really like that one, and I think everybody can tell why. I want to encourage everyone to check out Nicholas's website to keep track of his tour dates and latest news. The website is thefeelin.com, TheFeelin, no G at the end, thefeelin.com. Thanks to Tom Bowers for his engineering and editing skills. Extra special thanks to Krista Ann for her assistance coordinating this interview. We have one more track to listen to from the new album. It's a funky number called Out the Good that features the ominous line, "It's scary when we can't breathe." What's the inspiration for that composition?
Man, again, that was the fourth tune, kind of in the Mark Murphy Wookie Foot thing, where all these tunes just started coming out of my brain and my heart and through me, and that one too as well. It was like all these songs just kind of came, and then when I called Mark, that's what kind of prompted the whole starting of the, finishing this with these hands, because some of those other tunes were already done. And I called up Mark Murphy. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I just wrote like 9 songs. Like, can we, because we had talked about working together in the studio a handful of times, and he had a break from his touring and stuff. So it's like, dude, what about coming over so I just brought the 9 tunes over, and we had 3 days in the studio. And so that was one of the, 4 out of the 9 made it to the disc. And that was another one that just kind of came out. And I think that's, again, just kind of looking at the world and the state of the world,
Even people don't listen closely to lyrics or take the time to really worry about it. They just pick up on, quote unquote, the feeling of a recording. I think they can pretty much, I think one of the reasons you're so successful on the voice is because, like you said, you didn't want to do any throwaway stuff or any, silly, pointless stuff. You wanted to have, you're doing Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? You were doing Lean on Me, there's a presence in all of everything you do, that which was the reason there were those intimate moments where the audience was drawn into your show, because there's some substance there. There's a lot of acts that are just style over substance, hairstyles, laser lights, flashy this and that, and you look at the end of the day and you go, what? I think 20 of those 22 songs were about sex, and then maybe there was one about, what was that one? You realize you didn't really get any nutrition. It was like a lot of empty calories.
Right. Very good.
Yeah, well, Nicholas, on behalf of myself and my listeners, I want to thank you for returning to the show a second time. I really enjoyed your performance here in Phoenix and getting to meet you after the show. I know you're going to keep putting out more great music in the future, so please keep coming on back so we can keep talking about it.
Yeah, we will, man. And Dan, I thank you for your continued support, man. It is strength for this journey. So thanks again, man, from the breath of my heart, truly.
Well, it's my pleasure. We're going to close the show now with Out the Good. And then after that, there just might be a villain on the premises. So be on the lookout. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
It's been falling, disappearing, ocean waters are rising, turning the city. It's scary when we can't breathe. We've forgotten how to get down on our knees and ask for love instead of what we think we need. Step out the good time so we can bring back them and charity. Step out the good time so we can bring back them and charity. It's been falling, disappearing, ocean waters are rising, turning the city. It's scary when we can't breathe. We've forgotten how to get down on our knees. It's scary when we can't breathe. 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 Step out the good time so we can bring back them and charity. Step out the good time so we can bring back them and charity. Step out the good time so we can bring back them and charity. Step out the good time so we can bring back them and charity. Step out the good, step out the good, step out.
Give them a little, but not enough, and we'll keep them wanting more.
A society based in fear, it's easier to control.
We'll allow them enough to get by, and we'll keep them entertained, distract them with money and power. We need fuel for the game. 'Cause we're so far off track, what's the point of going back? Why should we ride? Why should we right our wrongs? What's done is done. So it's full speed ahead. Let's give them things to cloud their minds, to keep them at bay, and we'll let injustice roam the streets, and we'll always make them pay. We'll tax them for this, and we'll ticket them for that, and we'll cut their quality for cost. It doesn't matter in the end, as long as it benefits us.